What's going on, guys? It's MekelKasanova coming at you with yet another banging video, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the one and only Monster Hunter World, and I've got the Xbox One version. I've been playing on my Xbox One X, my Xbox One S, as well as my Day One Edition Xbox One. And I just gotta say, I'm really enjoying this game a lot, and this review is going to tell you why I think it's amazing, why I think you might enjoy it. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So roll the intro music.
Next generation of great. I'm the next generation of great. I'm the next generation of great. The next generation of great.
Capcom's Monster Hunter games have never been as straightforward as that simple title suggests. Since the PS2, I've been a fan of the Monster Hunter series in its original iteration. Monster Hunter was an RPG that disregarded conventional levels and instead relied solely upon the player's skills and the gear they've crafted from various monster parts. In over a dozen years, the series has stayed true to that core concept while constantly adding in bigger and more badass monsters in each iteration. For most of those years, Monster Hunter's main games have been limited to a handheld audience. Given the climate of Japan's gaming community, with notable exceptions including the port to the Wii U among others, Capcom surprised and honestly amazed a lot of us fans with an HD title that brought Monster Hunter onto the most powerful consoles ever released, and shortly with the PC release to follow. Monster Hunter World puts a few obstacles as possible between you and the joyful act of stabbing its dazzling menagerie of hostile beasties in their various softer bits. At its heart, it's a very basic loop, one that compels even when it carries a whiff of mindless grind. Hunt the monster, use a monster's part to build new stuff, use that stuff to hunt a bigger monster, repeat until monsters are too big or equipment is suitably blinged out. Loading up world for the first time, you're invited to design your character and the aforementioned feline sidekick, of which who will be serving as your companion and healer on hunts. But the real choices come a few minutes later. As a newly recruited hunter on the 5th Fleet, the player is thrust into a world of towering beasts and behemoths, each more gargantuan and terrifying than the last. There is an ever-changing ecosystem to the world that's brought about by the sudden appearance of an elder dragon. The towering building-sized wyverns, or wyverns, however you want to pronounce them, that round out every Monster Hunter story. That's when the players are introduced to one of the game's biggest draws, and also one of the roughest potential friction points in an entry that's doing its damnedest to be smooth as silk. Its massive arsenal of weapon types. The decision between weapons like longsword, hit stuff, switch axe, hit stuff in order to build up a charge, then transferring the weapon to unleash it and hit stuff even more, and insect glaive, fire an insect bullet that you have to separately raise and upgrade, suck out color-coded powder or power-ups, and then hit stuff, all this while mid-fight, isn't a trivial one. In a game where your equipment is what gets stronger, not your character, choice of weapon is everything. Luckily, the game does give some guidance in the form of a training area and a rating for a given weapon's overall complexity. But there's a reason that World's release was preceded by people passing around charts on Twitter. Trying to help people make this pivotal pick, the weapon upgrade system, which encourages building up one increasingly powerful set through most of the early game, doesn't help to alleviate the feeling of being locked into a single overriding choice. While Monster Hunter World places a greater emphasis on its story than previous iterations, the core progression still remains the same. Story missions are all separated into their own brief mission and typically involve either gathering certain materials or capturing a notable monster. This doesn't stray far from previous games, but Capcom's cutscenes development has really outdone themselves with monster introductions and action scenes that are rendered in-engine with the player's current gear and setup. Story missions are technically only playable once, as they are assigned to the player. Once completed, these are relegated to optional missions that still offer similar bounties. Monster Hunter World also features a bevy of randomly generated missions known as investigations that ensure players always have hunts for their favorite prey. In low rank, these don't offer much deviation aside from the number and variety of monsters to face, whether they need to be captured or slain, and certain numerical values with such as time allowed or number of times the player can faint. Consider the first 30 or 40 hours of Monster Hunter World to be the training wheels. Newcomers will certainly get their money's worth out of the low rank hunts, all leading up to the repelling of Monster Hunter World's gigantic elder dragon, the Zora Magdaros. However, don't consider the journey to be anywhere close to complete once you draw or claw your way out of low rank. Hitting high rank, somewhere around Hunter rank 12, opens up the world to all manners of monster invasions, arena fights, and gear customization. Locales are big, lush, labyrinthine, and one of the game's most effective draws. Rather than the disconnected loading screen filled zones of past installments, each territory is now a large open environment full of plants to be harvested, traps to be avoided, and big old baddies to capture or hunt. Sometimes you'll be faced with more than one at a time, and even then the game's more touted turf war system means you'll occasionally find your hunt interrupted by an apex predator stomping into the fight to attack both you and your prey. At first this can be distracting and even scary. Some of these suckers are freaking huge. But as you learn more about the hunt, it gets easier to take advantage of the distraction. Not to mention the extra damage your new friend is willing to pile on. That slowly building mental vocabulary is one of World's secret weapons. Even as your weapons and armor gradually grow fiercer and fiercer, your understanding of the game's strategies and importance of binding and blinding flying monsters, for instance, or chipping away at a creature's protective layers of mud with specialized water-based equipment, accrues cunning with a quickness. Capcom's first full-fledged Monster Hunter on the latest generation of consoles, and like I said earlier, with PC to follow later this year, is among one of the strongest sequels to any RPG I've ever played. Nearly every quality of life improvement works out in World's favor and makes the experience more immersive and accessible. Rather than trying to dumb it down for a newer audience, I certainly won't miss trying to knock out a Fatalis with an orange sharpness hammer just because I was an idiot that didn't bring enough weight stones. We're only just in the first 2 months of 2018, and already I can claim that Monster Hunter World might very well be one of the games of the year. This game, in my opinion, is Kasanova approved, and I've seen a lot of people lately that have been kind of upset and saying the game is really overrated, and I can understand that mentality that they're having towards it, because a lot of people have probably never played a Monster Hunter game and don't understand that this is not a game you're playing for story. It's a game that's pretty much a collect-a-thon and improve your stats and will improve your equipment rather. So to that, it's not overrated, it's just not for you. And that just about wraps up this video review for Monster Hunter World for the Xbox One. Also available on the PlayStation 4, and very soon it will be available on the PC. Well, in a couple months it'll be available on PC. So well, I just want to thank Capcom for making such an amazing game. I've been a fan of Monster Hunter since the original one back in 2003. So 2003, 2004, somewhere around that time, 2003, 2004. So it just takes me back, and I really like the evolution of the series and where they've taken it with this. I do kind of wish it came out on the Switch, just because I'm always on the go, and portability is definitely a factor for me, but I am now making a lot of time so that I can play and stream games on, in my station here in my office, and, in my bedroom when I get the time, or in the living room. So that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to go ahead and kick this month off, the month of February, with a giveaway. So I'm going to have a giveaway link very shortly. You'll see it probably down in the description below. And I'll decide on a winner, probably decide on a winner on the 15th, maybe the 16th, and whoever wins or gets selected gets to select the game of their choice. I'll give you a couple of game options that's coming out for the month, and you'll be able to get either a physical or digital copy, and we'll go from there. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Deuces, wow, too sweet, be the elite, and I'll catch you in the next one.
The spotlight, girl, you demand all the attention. Starry-eyed, maybe I need a new prescription. I see you on top of me, I'm having visions. While you spin it around, I'm getting dizzy, baby. Drop and roll.